fuelled up in Ingleton, and that was only, I'm sure, about 12 miles away from Low Bentham where I camped, and it was one of the places that I put in my search was Ingleton, looking for campsites, and it actually taken me 2 hours to ride there, because the route I took was obviously a lot more than 12 miles, but also with all the trails and opening and closing gates and that kind of thing, it would have taken me another 2 hours to get to Ingleton had I chosen to camp there. So I'm glad I didn't. And it just shows when you're doing these sort of trips and you're on the move, you can't really gauge how long it's going to take you to get to somewhere if you've pre-booked accommodation, because you just don't know how much is trail and how much is road, and then how difficult those trails are and how many gates there are, whether you're going to get stuck, all that kind of thing. It's probably, unless you're going to do really modest distance each day, it's virtually impossible to book your accommodation days in advance when you're doing a TET trip. You really have to book it on the flight. I've just come out of a place called Helwyth Bridge, straight onto another trail, because we've been on the road since Ingleton. Byway open to all traffic, Dale Head. Let's try it. This doesn't look like it probably, but it's a steady climb up here, steady uphill. First bikes I've seen on the trails. Mountain bikes coming down. Oh, it's the guy that I followed out of Ingleton. I've just been talking to a guy on a T7 who's doing parts of the TET and parts of the Trans-Northern Trail, and he's been out a couple of days. That's the first person I've really spoke to on the trails. And then while I was talking to him, a few Land Rovers came past. So it seems like there are a few more people out and about today. There's certainly more mountain bikes out. But it was quite nice to have a chat to somebody, see what they're up to. It was a cracking climb on this trail, but I didn't film it because the camera had turned itself off while I was gas bagging. There's a T7 dude. I've just been through Settle and I managed to take a wrong turn, ended up in a car park. Which was a kind of a one-way system, so I lost just a couple of minutes there. And then when I came out, I've just seen the kid on the T7 who was behind me. So he's obviously doing the same trails, because he was following a mixture of TET and Great North Trail. So he's obviously done some of the same ones as me. Even know if this is doable, it's so overgrown. Seems to be on the route. It won't be easy to turn back round now either. Ah, it's all nettles. Shit. What the hell was that? Yeah. How deep is it? That's the question. I can't even see. Can't tell how deep it is. There's some stepping stones down the left hand side, but it's at least ankle deep to the bit I walked to. Seems to be getting deeper. Well, we'll have a go. Not too deep. Railway crossing. Interesting. Open fire gate before crossing with vehicles or animals. Jam that open with a stick. That's why there's two sticks. Hold the gates open. Very kind of somebody to leave those sticks. There we go. I'm in Skipton now, which is a place I've been to a few times because there's quite a good train service to Skipton from where I live, and it's a good place for a few beers. I haven't been for a while. I think I'll go. I've just passed a campsite that I've stayed on as well, but it's about 3 o'clock and it's a bit early for me to be stopping really. It's a shame because it's walkable in here, good place for a few beers, but I would like to get a bit further along the TET if I can. I'll try and find another pub with a campsite so that I have to walk a mile, which I would have to do to get in here. Walking a mile in Crocs wouldn't be much fun. Well trained. Wow, that's impressive. The place was Barden, and it was Barden Tower according to the map. I pulled over just after I'd come through a place called Paisley Bridge. It was about 4:30, so I started having a look for campsites, and I found a site behind a pub, my preferred sort of campsite, at a place called Markington, which is a little village near Harrogate. So it was about 20 minutes away from where I was. There wasn't much else in the area, and it was worth me travelling a little bit to stay somewhere where I could get a meal and a few pints without taking the bike back out again. I'm just coming into Markington now. This is the village, and the pub is called the Yorkshire Hussar. So looks okay on the website, so I'm hoping for a nice village pub with a bit of a campsite behind it. We'll see. This is it, Yorkshire Hussar. It says caravan park behind it. That's just about right for me. So I've got to go into the pub to find out what crack is. It's a nice little campsite, this. There's a pub in the distance there, and these are obviously like touring caravan pitches. There's a few statics. And then the lady told me to come up into this grassed area, which is level grassed, and it's alright. Late night drinking seems to have become a thing on this trip now. It just so happens at this campsite, one of the lads that is in the Lancashire TRF that I know has a static caravan here, and he turned up last night, so ended up having a few beers, and we stayed in the pub well after time, and it was a pretty late night. So this morning, just packing up nice and steady, get the gear packed away, get the tent packed away, we'll get back on the road. I was really hoping that my boots would be dry this morning after yesterday's river crossing. No, that's not the case. It's wet boots and wet socks, but fortunately my tent is dry, which makes a change. So it's nice to put away a dry tent. Well, it's a fairly late start at 10:30, but time to leave the pub, the Yorkshire Hussar Inn, and get back on the road. So I've managed to pick up where I left off, and on the first trail of the day, it's just a fairly flat gravel track. I was slightly concerned about my sat-nav, or the phone that I'm using to navigate with, because it was down at 40% this morning, and I exhausted my power bank last night because I was charging the camera batteries and my little air pump for the air mattress and my other phone, and this is only very, very slowly charging on the bike now because I'm trying to charge the power bank back up as well. Another ford. I've just been down and had a look at it. It's quite deep in the middle. There is a footbridge option, but I kind of want to do the ford. But there is a big rock in it. In fact, there's a couple of rocks on the bottom, so I need to take a line sort of to the right. So I think I'll have a go. Just hope I don't drop this with all this shit on it. It's early in the day to have wet feet as well. That'll do. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad from here, but there's rocks on the bottom. You only need to hit one of those rocks and lose your balance, and you're in with the bike. Anyway, managed to get through that one. I don't think the bike would fit through this bridge anyway. KTM would, but I don't think the Honda would, certainly not with all the bags on it. A second water crossing on the same lane. This looks fairly shallow. It's a bit longer, but it looks shallow, this one. And again, I think there's a bridge. But I'm going to go through this. Oh, it's okay, that one. To the Vosges for the lads. Oh. So I've just bumped into this lad on the Vosges 300 and we've been talking for, I don't know, half an hour at least. So I've decided to ride a few sections with him. Back of my bike's bottoming out on bumps with the luggage, tyres rubbing on something. Swinton Estate. Is it? Is that what it is? Catching on that? Oh yeah. It's just catching in it. I think it's because I've got a knobbly on now.
Yeah, that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That's what it's doing. So this is Mark on his Vosges 300 rally. Just bumped into him on one of the trails and sat talking bikes for a good half hour, and then we decided we might as well ride together for a bit because he's doing the TET, but he's just doing a day at a time, picking up from where he's left off previously. So it just makes life easier for opening gates and stuff like that when you're travelling somebody else. You can see for absolutely miles up here. Quite often visibility is not very good because of rain or cloud or whatever, but pretty good today. Mark disappearing off into the distance. He's just travelling slightly faster than me because obviously he's not loaded. I'm just having to slow down for some of the bigger bumps because of this bottoming out. Slippy. Just bumped into another few lads on the trail, and I'm now riding with Mark for a bit, but he's going to be heading home maybe in another half an hour. But at least I've seen a couple more people, and that's a change. Cheers, mate. Nice to have some help with the gates. We've been taking it in turns with those lads. This is Leighton Reservoir and the water levels are really low. Well, I made it as far as Lofthouse today. I've spent quite a bit of time chatting to Mark and we've not been rushing, so I'm in a sort of area that I've ridden before as well. I've ridden quite a lot round here, so I decided to call it a day about 4 o'clock when Mark set off back home, and I've been into Pateley Bridge to get some fuel, seemed to be the nearest place, and grab a bite to eat. And I've also found a pub campsite, but this is actually one that I passed earlier today, so I'm backtracking on myself, but it's probably the nearest one, so I'm going back about 20 minutes or something like that by road to camp at the Black Swan in Fearby. We literally rode past it. So bit of a backtrack, but it's not too far off the route, and it is my preferred type of site, a pub that does food. So the Black Swan at Fearby, it's got a campsite round the back. Looks like there's a reenactment jobby going on, a couple of old war vehicles. This is quite a nice little campsite just behind the pub. It's mainly caravans, but there's plenty of grass. Toilet block's just there, so I'm fairly close, but I don't want to be too close to the toilets. It was pretty quiet really, so I thought I'd pitch up under this tree. A Dodge, this one. It's in nice condition. Another Dodge. Well, that was a nice breakfast at the Black Swan, so I'm going to head back to Lofthouse where I finished off yesterday. But this is my last day today. I need to be home for tomorrow, so I need to ride home this afternoon. So I think I'll just do a couple of trails this morning and then head back. This is an area that I have ridden a fair bit with the TRF, so I do actually know the trails that are coming up. But I'll do them anyway. First trail of the day at Middlesmore. So just picked it up again at Lofthouse, and Middlesmore is the next trail from there. I did notice that there was a campsite at Howstein Gorge, which is a nice, there's a nice cafe stop there that the TRF use quite regularly, but I hadn't realised there was a campsite there, and that looks like it's in walking distance of Lofthouse, and there's a pub in Lofthouse, so I think I might consider that next time. Looks like I've got stuck behind some 4x4s here. Going a bit slow for me on these stones as well. More 4x4s. The last lot moved over as soon as they had the opportunity, to be fair. Gate supplied by Lancashire TRF in Yorkshire. So I'm back to opening and closing all the gates on my own now, which is hard work getting on and off the bike all the time, especially if you can't find level ground to get the side stand down. If it ends up on too much of a slope or not enough of a slope. The drop down to Scarehouse Reservoir. This is could be a problem because it's quite steep, is this? And as I've probably said before, with this big roll bag on, I can't get my arse back on the bike, so I can't get my weight back. So it looks like those 4x4s are going to be coming down here, and a lot of them seemed quite heavily loaded with like roof tents and shit like that on. All adds to the weight high up on the vehicles, and didn't look to be overly aggressive on tyres and stuff like that. But it's dry. The water levels are really low. And there is a hosepipe ban on in Yorkshire, at least my part of Yorkshire. It's a big county. But there is a hosepipe ban on, and you can see why, looking at those water levels. Yeah, I've been over this dam quite a few times, but I don't think I've ever seen the water like that. That's really low. It looks like rain in the distance, and there's some big black clouds coming over now, so I've decided to stop and put my rain gear on before it actually rains, because it is getting a bit cooler, especially higher up. It's quite cool, so I think it's time to put another layer on. This is another gravel road that I've done before, between Melmerby and the sign was saying West Burton this way. I think when I've done this before I've come the other way, but I do recognise it. Yeah, this is a lane I've done before. Last time I did it I came up it. coming into Castle Bolton now, and that is Bolton Castle in front of us. Again, this is somewhere I'm quite familiar with. I'm on day 4 of my TET trip now, and this will only be a short day because I'm heading back. But days 3 and 4 are really my patch, if you like, a kind of area that I ride with the local TRF, so I have ridden most of the lanes around here. I just didn't realise that those lanes formed part of the TET. But obviously I've ridden past lanes and thought, oh, there's a nice lane up there, but obviously it just doesn't go in the right direction for this route, so it's obviously not included. Yeah, that's quite impressive, isn't it? This is Redmire Moor. It looks like the TET's running straight through it, but there are a couple of different directions you can go on these trails. There was one that goes off to the left, which I normally use, but this is kind of the straight through route, I think. Well, that's the end of Redmire Moor, and I think that's where I'm going to end this trip this time, because I'm not far from Leyburn, so it's main roads and then the A1 back home from here, and it's an easy enough place to pick it up next time. So if you've made it to the end of the video, you've obviously got a high boredom threshold. Hope you've enjoyed it, and see you next time. Cheers.